Coming up today on the Wisconsin Vegetable Gardener Radio Show,
we're going to talk about building your soil,
as well as building cold frames so you can grow longer into the winter.
And we're going to talk to Amy from the Milwaukee's own Hunger Task Force, the largest food bank in Wisconsin.
All that plus your garden questions, and that starts right now. It is the Wisconsin Vegetable Gardener Radio Show on 860 AM WNOV and 106.5 in the city of Milwaukee. I'm your host, Joy Barrett. Beside me is my wife, co-host, best friend, and gardening partner,
Holly Barrett.
The Wisconsin.
It's our 60th show.
It's our 60th show, yeah. Now, that means nothing to probably the listeners, but for us, it's a pretty big deal.
Yeah.
This program is funded by the sponsors you hear on the program. If you're watching the in-studio video, the ones that you see during the commercial breaks and behind us on our expandable boards, they pay for the show. Season 1, there was 50% return of sponsors from last year. They make this all possible. This is something that we have to go out and get ourselves for us to have this show. So 60th show, 60th hour we've been on WNOV. So that's pretty cool. You can also find us, all 60 shows, under the radio tab at the WisconsinVegetableGardener.com. And
it would be 59 shows.
Well, 59 shows until this one comes out. In-studio video and full podcast replay on all of your favorite podcast providing housers, iTunes, Google, Stitcher, whatever, all those things. You can get a hold of us today if you want to talk to us during the program. You can do that by the Ivy Organics 3-in-1 Plant Guard hotline.
Ivy Organic 3-in-1 Plant Guard naturally protects plants against damaging sunburn, insects, and rodents, protects duly installed plants and trees, shields prune and damaged surfaces for use on your roses, fruit and nut trees, ornamental trees, and shrubs. This product is non-toxic, environmentally safe, and organic. Visit
Say what?
For more information. Visit ivyorganics.com. You can call in anytime during the show at 414-444-5250 with your question or comment if we want to hear it.
Yeah, we can. You can also email us throughout the week or during the show at twvgshow@gmail.com. You can tweet us. Our Twitter handle is TWVG. Or hashtag TWVG. So our handle is TWVG Show on Twitter. There you go. So with that being said, we're going to get in the program, and we're going to talk about building your soil. Now, this is the lifeblood of your garden. If you don't have good soil, and we're not growing in hydroponics or aquaponics, that's a different topic for a different day. Whether you're growing in raised beds, containers, ground, soil is, if you don't have good soil, you're not going to have good garden. Now, there are other contributing factors to why your garden may not be successful with insects and diseases, but we're not covering that. We're talking about the soil.
Sure. So you want to look at current issues your plants might be having. Now, if it's something like a bug or a pest or an insect or whatever, that's not necessarily your soil, but something like maybe your leaves,
yellowing of the leaves.
Yeah, yellowing leaves or curling leaves or purple of leaves. Like, there could be a combination of those. So you need to look at that first and think, okay, if it's not environmental around the plant or something like an insect, then it could be in the soil.
90% of the problems is typically below soil grade is the issue to the problem. Now, there may be diseases in the soil that's causing root issues or uptake issues, blossom end rot on tomatoes, lack of calcium because the soil's not moist enough for the calcium to be picked up. But current issues, if the plant's very, very yellow, most likely it's a lack of nitrogen, and or if it's in a container, the nutrients has been leached out because of the consistent watering you have to do, so you're going to have to resupplement or add more nutrients of some sort or another into that container for the plants to uptake to grow correctly. So we're going to talk about testing your soil.
Sure.
If you're seeing a lot of issues right now, your number one go-to thing is don't call us and say, well, this is what the 7 things are happening. Get a soil test. That's going to tell you everything.
It's kind of like a blood test for humans. Sometimes you don't know what's going on beneath the surface. So a soil test is definitely something that you would want to invest.
Affordable.
It's affordable. It's worth the cost, especially if you are somebody who wants to grow in the ground and have had success in the past, but things do change over time.
And this would be recommended for ground gardening. I wouldn't say take a soil test of your containers or your raised beds because you're bringing in good soil, purple cow compost, raised bed mix, whatever the case. It's already, that is a good mix. You're not certain of what the nutrient value of the actual ground soil is and or the toxicities that may exist if you're starting a new garden in a new spot in your yard.
Right. So, yeah, you can definitely get a soil test. You can
and the other thing is, Holly, you can get as much information out of a soil test. Just like anything, the more money you spend on a test, the more detailed information you can get.
Right. So you can get this through your local UW extension. There's different places online you can send your soil, university extensions. Otherwise, you can just do, you go to your favorite search engine and type in how to do a soil test or how to send in for a soil test. And that way you can get that done. Another thing you can do to actually build your soil, say your soil's, it seems okay, everything seems fine, but you want to build it. You want to make sure your plants are going to have proper nutrients. You can add organic material. What is
organic material?
Organic material is anything that you add to your soil that comes from the earth.
Okay.
Pretty much. And is going to add nutrients to your soil. So things like coffee grounds, things like leaves, your own compost in general. Any of that is organic material.
You want to know where it was derived from, because and we've talked about this, if you're getting compost that came from, that chemicals was added to that material and then it's broke down, based on the level of toxicity those chemicals had in the original form, they may still be very active in the broke down compost. 2,4-D in weed and feed is a perfect example of that. So we want to be aware of that as well. And if you're getting free compost, you want to try to figure out where that,
oh, definitely,
where that's
especially
coming from.
If it's coming from like the city yard and it's free, you don't necessarily know.
Free is not always good.
Free is not always good. You don't know where they gathered that from, and what if they just take it from the side of the road and break it down. You don't know what people were putting into their compost.
Exactly. And if you're buying compost from Blue Mel's, Purple Cow, they have numbers and lots, and they know where all this stuff has come from, and the age process. They've got it very detailed down. So if you need, hey, I bought this from this, and they can track from the origins of that material. So if you have a raised bed, again, we've got the nutrients already in the bed. There's not a whole lot of, there shouldn't be a whole lot of effort go into that. Now, if you're growing in the ground and you're going to start, and you're having difficulties with weeds or soil deficiencies and all that, it's an investment, but it well pays for itself. A raised bed, put it together, you really have no weeds to deal with, you put some mulch on it, put your plants in it, you're done.
Right. So, raised beds are definitely a great option, especially if you don't want to invest time and energy in trying to figure out what your ground soil is like. Or
you have bad ground soil.
Bad ground soil, or you just have a spot in the yard that nothing grows, and you're like, I wonder why. But
you want to look up first.
Right, you want to look up. Well, that too, but I'm saying like a nice sunny spot.
Right.
So raised beds are definitely an option. Another option would be something like straw bale gardening. That's another virtually weed-free way to garden, where you condition the bale, and then it becomes a container in itself or a raised bed. 2
years max you're going to get out of that. Yeah.
But it's worth the time and effort, because they do grow beautiful plants.
We want to talk about containers here, because people ask us, and we are asked, what do you do with a container? Do you dump the soil out at the end of the year and start fresh next year? What is the right answer? Okay, I'm going to give you two answers to this. One is the horticultural answer, which is dump the container out and start fresh each and every year. Our answer is it's based on the size of the container. Soil is not cheap. Compost is not cheap. So if it is a 1, 3, 5, 7, 10-gallon container, dump that soil out, start fresh, because you're dealing with a small mass of material. If it's 15, 30, or beyond, remove about half of the material out of the container, top half, and then top it off with new material, new compost, new potting mix, new whatever, and then grow that way. You're going to save money, and the amount of nutrients that, based on your plant, you can add fertilizer to that container, even with that added nutrients of the new material.
I would agree. Yeah, you definitely want to. You want to be smart about it. So horticulture answer, yes, is to dump it out. For a smaller container, that would make sense. But when you have a larger container, you want to think about that.
If you have had a severe disease problem and you can identify that disease that is harbored in the soil of that container, then no matter what the size of that container is, get rid of the soil, either put it in the compost or sprinkle it among the garden or in the yard, and start fresh.
So back to ground gardening.
Yes.
Part of building your soil is attracting worms to your garden. Mm-hmm. And that would include things like mulching with leaves that seems to attract a lot of worms. adding compost so that the worms have something to eat. Same thing with coffee grounds or leaves. All of that is good. Another thing is to layer whatever you're adding to your soil. Layer it. Don't disturb the soil. And I know we might get some rotten tomatoes thrown at us for this, but don't till.
Yeah, we've never tilled. We've used a garden fork when the soil had to be disturbed because it doesn't pulverize or powderize the soil. Now, if you're dealing with very clay soil, yeah, put some compost on there. You can, let it set for a year, or you can mix it in to help break down the particles of the clay. But we use a garden fork, so if we need to remove roots, we can get the full structure of the root out of the soil, or we don't kill as many worms because the worms can fall through the tines of the fork and not get cut up with the blades of the tiller. Right.
So I guess, yeah, you definitely want to make sure that you're thinking about what the microbial life is below the soil. It's not just soil. There's things that live in there, especially worms. So if you are going to till, worms do react to vibrations of the earth. And so what you could do is you could take your tiller wherever you're going to till, leave it run for a few minutes, and that way the worms will go deeper into the soil to avoid those vibrations.
Just like when it rains, they burrow deeper. Now, what we've covered here, building your soil, if you really want to get in, there are some definite, absolute must-do type of things. But a lot of this, it's based on your particular situation. There is not here's what you have to do because the Wisconsin Vegetable Gardeners say so. You have to take evaluation of your growing situation and figure out what is best, one, for your garden, and two, for your dollar that you're going to spend in order to create or refurbish the garden in which you are trying to grow in. We also we need to rotate the crops, because trying to grow tomatoes in the same spot for 19 years, it just doesn't work because the certain nutrients are sucked out of the soil.
Right, exactly.
And other plants put it back in.
Sure. So, yeah, you definitely want to rotate your crops. It's also good from a plant disease standpoint as well. Like our cucumbers are doing terribly. But we've been planted in the same spot.
Well, we've rotated them 3 foot over, but they have some above-ground disease problems, spider mites and some other issues.
But I think it would help to move them as well.
Right. And finally, you can grow cover crops, which are crops designed to infuse nitrogen and other nutrients into the ground, as well as you work those in. Not necessarily till them, but fold them under, chop and drop
add
as they break down.
As the organic material, and they are good for the soil as well.
Yeah. So just some of the ways in which you can build your soil for a better tomorrow, or if you're growing next year. Well, when we come back, we're going to talk about how we can extend our growing season by a device or devices called cold frames and load tunnels right after this.
Got a question? Email the show at twvgshow@gmail.com.
Do you have a problem with deer or small herbivores eating your vegetation? There is a natural solution that is safe for your pets and family. Bobex is the answer. An environmentally friendly solution to protect your plants, will not wash off, and is guaranteed. Bobex Deer was independently tested against 9 known competitors and rated 93% effective, second only to a physical barrier. Bobex can be used on all types of ornamentals, trees, and shrubs. Ask for it by name at your local independent garden center. Find out more, visit bobex.com. BOBBEX.com.
Are you short on time when it comes to grocery shopping? Yes, I'm talking to you. ShopWoodmans.com offers online shopping for store pickup or delivery on their over 60,000 plus items at Woodman's everyday low prices. Order online, select a pickup or delivery time, and create more time to do what you want. Leave the work to Woodman's. Also, check out the ShopWoodmans.com app. You can even make special requests, like specific sizes of produce. For more information, visit ShopWoodmans.com.
Zaz Products, offering great quality supplements that can help personal health and increase longevity. Committed to bringing you the highest quality products at the lowest price. Find out more at ZazProducts.com. The Gardener's Hollow Leg, the debris and harvesting bag you wear, comes with its own belt attachment, perfect for doing light pruning, weeding, harvesting on the ground or on a ladder, and many other uses. Find out more at thegardenershollowleg.com. Save 10% by using the word veggies at checkout. Are you a cabbage head? I hope not. This garden fun fact is sponsored by ManureTea.com. Get your 3-pack today. Drop the tea bag in water, let steep, then feed your soil, not your plants. 100% organic. Find out more at ManureTea.com. Always free shipping. Cabbage is one of the oldest vegetables dating back to the 1600s. Drinking juiced cabbage is known to assist in curing stomach and intestinal ulcers. A thick-witted person may be called a cabbage head. In the Hebrew terms, that is rosh karvu, cabbage head implying stupidity. Tall Earth Wood Treatment, all-in-one preservative and stain, offers lifetime protection and creates a unique silver-aged wood finish. All ingredients are non-toxic, eco-friendly, perfect for garden beds and veg trucks. Find out more at tallearth.com. Free shipping on all orders. Use coupon code WISCONVEG to save 15% off orders placed at tallearth.com.
Do you enjoy hanging baskets but struggle to keep them properly watered? The Plant Booster Self-Watering System is a mechanical system that will ensure optimal soil moisture at all times by reacting to the weight of each plant. The weight of each plant tells the system how much water it needs. Unlike a timer-controlled system where all plants get water at the same time, whether they need it or not. Also ideal for condos or apartments with no outdoor water source. Check out details, videos, and extensive explanation and ideas for application at plantbooster.net.
Blue Mel's Garden and Landscape Center offers an awesome selection of high-quality garden and landscape products. We have just the plants you're looking for: annuals, perennials, veggies, herbs, and more. Plus, you can always count on us to answer all of your questions and offer expert advice. Blue Mel's also carries the largest selection of bulk landscape materials in the area. Enjoy a beverage from our coffee shop while your kids run around in our huge playground. Join our growing list of highly satisfied customers. Visit the garden center that offers everything you're looking for. Visit Blue Mel's today.
Blue Mel's, 4930 West Loomis Road, 414-282-4220. The Wisconsin Vegetable Gardener is brought to you by the following: Handy Safety Knife, BioSafe, Tall Earth, Chapin International, The Plant Booster, Ivy Organics, Woodman's Market, Blue Mel's Landscaping Garden Center, Purple Cow Organics. Find all sponsors at the WisconsinVegetableGardener.com and thank them for their support.
Now back to the Wisconsin Vegetable Gardener radio show, where 100% of the listeners polled prefer to hear Joey and Holly rather than an angry goat.
Well, if that's the if you disagree with that, we'd sure like to hear from you.
But only today.
Only today.
Yep.
So cold frames are a device in which we can create, purchase, manufacture in our own backyards to extend the growing season of current crops and or plants in which we are starting now, not in October or November. First of all, what is a cold frame, Holly, and what do we need to know about it if we're going to make one?
Sure. So within this cold frame realm, I'm also going to include low tunnels, because low tunnels are like the low maintenance version of cold frames. So cold frame or low tunnel is something that houses, you put around your garden, around some crops.
Would you say it's a mini greenhouse?
Yeah, it's kind of like a mini greenhouse. Okay. And you put it around your crops, or you plant crops within that area, and it extends your season. So basically, you can grow year-round some things with that cold frame or that low tunnel, and you can extend your season into the fall, later into the fall or winter, or start it sooner into the spring. Okay. So it's basically, it can be made with plastic. It's like, we just bought drip cloth plastic from the
6 mil.
6 mil.
It's a milky, it's not going to be see-through like glass. It's a milky film
right,
on it.
Yeah, it's not completely transparent. So, and you can do anything from like putting straw bales around a perimeter of something and making sure it's kind of sealed off and putting old windows on top. Or you can build a cold frame, as we did with some old wood and an old screened-in window. Mm-hmm. And then we attach that plastic. Or you could do something like a low tunnel where you take hoops, small hoops, whatever you have. You could use like old fence poles or whatever, and then you drape the plastic over that and then make sure it's anchored down.
So whichever device in which we choose to put over the crops in which we have started or starting or have been growing, we need to make sure that on cool days, let's say it's 65 degrees outside, because of convection, it could be 85, 90, or 100 plus degrees in this low tunnel, this cold frame, which will kill the plants in which you're growing. Now, in the winter months, November, December, January, when it's 15 or 10 degrees outside, the internal temperature of that cold frame, because of the convection of the sun and the heat, radiation, all that, maybe 50 or 60, which is perfect. But we want to keep aware of what it currently is now. So
now, for each layer of cold frame or plastic or whatever, you extend your growing season, or you move your
growing zone
down 1.5 or up 1.5 zones. So right now we're in about zone 5.
Mm-hmm.
So if you add one layer, that puts us to 6.5, which is typically like
Southern Illinois. Okay.
Mm-hmm.
So if we did a small tunnel, and then over top of that small tunnel, we had a foot or so gap, and we created another tunnel on top of that. Now we have 2 layers of protection.
Now we're at zone 8.
We're in zone 8, which is northern Mississippi, somewhere in that area. So again,
but if it's winter, you're experiencing like winter in northern Mississippi,
right,
which is like kind of like spring, I would say, for us.
Right. So what do we want to know about what we're putting or what we're covering? What plants can we grow? How do we grow them to get the longevity out of them that we are putting in this cold frame?
Okay, so you're certainly not growing tomatoes, like anything that's tropical, typically like a tomato, pepper.
The summer crops we're not doing.
Yeah, the super summer crops, you're not going to be doing that. But the fall crops, so things like, or spring crops, so things like lettuce, you can even do carrots, radishes.
A lot of your greens.
A lot of your greens. All of those are definitely able for you to grow microgreens, all of that good stuff, because they are a little bit more cold hardy and a little bit more tolerant, especially of the cold soil below, and it allows for proper growing.
Now, if you want to go and find out the precise details, you go to your favorite search engine and look up Nikki Jabor, or look up the Year-Round Vegetable Gardener. She does this in Nova Scotia, Canada, cold frames year-round. We've had her on the program as a guest this year and last year. So when do we want to get these crops growing, or if we have crops already, what do we want to do?
You can start basically right now. Okay. Not like radishes, not right now because it'll only take like 30 days, but probably within the next month you could get those started.
Well, yeah, radishes you will start in September. By October, you've got them harvested. You can start another crop in October and have them November harvest there.
But you have to think about when your first frost or freeze is going to be. So frost is mid-October, so you would want to do a lot of these things like mid-September.
Our first frost is mid-October. Our first freeze, flip a coin, when that might be. So if we put kale in the ground, if we put greens in the ground, kale and cabbage, that type of thing, broccoli, cauliflower, we want to keep in mind that as these plants grow, they're going to get taller. So we can't make a cold frame that's 7 inches tall when these plants may get 24 or 28 inches tall. We don't want these plants to rub up against the plastic or the top of the lid of the device in which we are creating, because that will absorb the coldness and actually kill that portion of the plant during the cold months that we're trying to get the longevity out of it. A perfect example of this type of system in which we're speaking about, there is a individual that is out of the Chicago area. He's got a YouTube channel. It's called 1 Yard Revolution, and he is a vegetarian, and him and his wife, they grow year-round in essentially a walk-in cold frame with other cold frames inside of that cold frame to get that double protection, which we were speaking about. So it's he's got it down to a science that he understands this mechanism of a cold frame. Now, a low tunnel is the same thing. Now, since we're in this aspect of protection of plants, let's talk about what frost cloths are, because people may hear that and think, oh, I'll just use a frost cloth to make a dome and I can grow into the winter months without any issue.
Right. So frost cloth is different. It's typically, it's more porous, is what it is. So it doesn't have that non-porous quality as plastic does. So if
it's a webbed mesh.
Yeah, it's like a web mesh,
yeah,
right?
Yeah.
So you want something like plastic, definitely, because that's going to help keep that warmth in.
A frost cloth is designed to protect your cooler weather crops later in the fall. If when it frosts or freezes, if it freezes at 32 degrees, this frost cloth is laid on top of the crops or draped over top of the crops, and it protects the crops so they don't freeze, and it has a 6 or 7 or 10 degree protection over the crops. So now the crops are not going to freeze until 23 or 24 degrees instead of 32 like we're accustomed to.
It's kind of like when you throw your sweater on to run to the car in the middle of winter. You're not spending a lot of time outside, but it's a little protection. It's going to make you a little bit more comfortable. Something like using that plastic is going to be like wearing your actual winter jacket, where it's going to keep you nice and warm.
Now, if we've already got crops growing in the ground and we're going to cover them, we're kind of limited on where we can put this cold frame. We've got to put it over top of the crops in which we're growing.
Yes, you kind of have to plan ahead, and that's definitely why we're talking about this.
If we're going to plant this weekend, to plan ahead to put cold frames over what we're going to plant, where do we want to plant these crops at, Holly?
Sure. So you want to find the sunniest spot in your yard, and you're like, well, that's where my tomatoes are right now. But maybe you can find another sunny spot.
Partial shade now.
Yeah.
A lot of these crops in which we're growing will handle partial shade, and they will, as the leaves fall off, they're going to be more exposed to the sun, and you want the device in which you're planting in to face more southerly if you can. I had a question a couple of weeks ago about the slant on a cold frame. If we can create one, we want to slant it towards the southern sky as the hemisphere, as we change from winter to fall to summer, spring, winter, fall, that the axis changes in where we're at in the northern hemisphere.
Right, yeah. So that's what the winter solstice is because of how the Earth is on the axis and the shifts, and that's why we go from that solstice happens, the winter solstice, and same thing with the summer solstice. But either way, you do want to be aware. You definitely don't want to keep it into a shady spot. Now, the other thing is that even though we have shadier spots now, in a few months, fall is going to happen, so you'll have more sun in that shadier spot. So you can think about that too.
Let's talk about cost. What are we looking at cost?
The cost is kind of a build your own adventure there. You definitely want the plastic. That's going to be a cost. It's not terribly expensive.
No, it's kind of like what we talked about in the first segment with building your soil. However, you can go very limited, or you can spend a lot of money based on how large of cold frame or greenhouse or whatever you want to put over your crop.
Right, and you can definitely look for old windows on the side of the street and all that good stuff.
So when we come back, we're going to talk with Representative Amy from Milwaukee's own Hunger Task Force. We're going to ask her what the company is, or what the organization is, and how it is actually benefiting the community right after this.
Use Twitter to reach Joey and Holly at TWVG Show or hashtag TWVG.
Beans and Barley Market and Cafe, a neighborhood specialty grocery store for the east side and greater Milwaukee area, where you can find all you need, from fresh produce to bakery to organic frozen dinners, from wine to fresh squeezed carrot juice, a health food store with hundreds of products, vitamins, supplements, bath and body items, magazines, cards, books, and a knowledgeable staff. Catering available, open daily at 8 a.m. The restaurant serves breakfast, lunch, and dinner 7 days a week with a menu of good, healthy, homemade food, including vegetarian and non-vegetarian specialties. 1901 East North Avenue, Milwaukee, 414-278-7878, and online at beansandbarley.com. Mycorrhizae is a beneficial fungus from Plant Success Organics.com that will greatly increase your plant's germination ability and healthier root structure. You can increase seed sprouting, root growth, and general plant germination. Mycorrhizae can be used with hydroponic root cutting, seed sprouting, cocoa coir, and soil. Plant Success Organics.com carries powder, granule, and tablet form of mycorrhizae. Increase the level of mycorrhizae in your soil to give your plant the optimal opportunity to produce incredible harvests. For more information and to purchase, visit PlantSuccessOrganics.com.
Shield and Seal vacuum sealers and the highest quality vacuum sealing products, unique black and clear and all black bags, protecting your produce and product better than traditional bags. Find out more at shieldandseal.com. Rebel Green, responsibly made natural products that are good for you and the environment. Made in the USA, plant-based, vegan, and always toxic-free. Find out more at rebelgreen.com. Use coupon code WIVEG15 to save 15% off your next purchase at rebelgreen.com/shop. Root Assassin, a garden tool that does all the root functions with its advanced shovel that has serrated edges on both sides. Find out more information at rootassassinshovel.com.
The Handy Safety Knife is a patented, high-quality knife that's worn like a ring, so it's always conveniently at hand and very easy and efficient to work with. That's why you'll find the Handy Safety Knife at work in a wide range of industries and applications. Learn more at handysafetyknife.com. Place an order for your business. Call toll-free 866-294-3424.
Use coupon code WVG to get 10% off and free shipping one-time use only at handysafetyknife.com. The Wisconsin Vegetable Gardener Radio Show is brought to you by the following: Flame Engineering, Eco Garden Systems, Bobex, Plant Success, Beans and Barley, Am I Gardener, Outpost Natural Food Co-op, Root Assassin, Manure Tea, The Gardener's Hollow Leg. Find all sponsors at the WisconsinVegetableGardener.com and thank them for their support.
Now back to the Wisconsin Vegetable Garden Radio Show with your hosts, Joey and Holly Baird.
It's the Wisconsin Vegetable Gardener Radio Show. We're so happy that you've joined us today. You know, today is a very special day for Blue Mel's Landscape and Garden Center, Holly. We're going to be out there this Saturday and next Saturday from 9 to 1.
Obviously, we're not going to be there at 9 today.
Well, but
we'll for next Saturday,
yeah.
You'll know that you can be there from 9 to 1. They're having a little farmer's market, garden market, summer market. Mm-hmm. So we're going to produce, food, music, all sorts of good stuff. Maybe like crafty stuff, markety stuff.
You don't have to go there with the intentions of purchasing something. You can just go and talk to the vendors, talk to the craft people, talk to us. Summer market, Saturday, today, the 18th of August, and next Saturday, the 25th of August, 9 a.m. to 1 p.m. We'll be there probably about 10:30. We'll have a little booth set up. You'll see us. It's not going to be hard to find us with all our banners and stuff on the table. 4930 West Loomis Road in Greenfield, just off of Layton. You can find more information out about them at bluemels.com.
Or you can call 414-282-4220.
Well, Holly, let's go to the IB Organics 3-in-1 Plant Guard hotline and bring in our next guest.
Sure. Hunger Task Force is Milwaukee's free and local food bank and Wisconsin's leading anti-hunger organization. They were founded in 1974 by a group of parental advocates who were fighting for a school breakfast program through Milwaukee Public School System. Hunger Task Force provides a safety net of emergency food to a network of local food pantries and meal programs. Now, Amy Wallner has started as a farm volunteer coordinator at the farm in March of 2014. Since February of the following year, she has a lead role in designing and implementing the Hunger Task Force Farm Annual Crop Plan. And she's responsible for farm operation improvements, visioning for the farm's multi-year sustainability plan, and equipment upgrades. Welcome to the program, Amy.
Thank you for having me.
Well, thank you so much for taking time out of your day. I know you're at a farmer's market to enlighten us about this program, this organization that maybe some of our listeners have no idea what it really is. They just see the sign as they go down the interstate.
Sure. Well, like you mentioned in your intro, Hunger Task Force is Milwaukee's free and local food bank. We've been operating as a food bank for a number of years. So as a food bank, we're providing non-perishable food to a number of sites all year round. And then in 2012, we added the farm to our wheelhouse of what we're doing and how we're obtaining food.
Well, let's talk about the addition to the farm. Now, this farm is in Franklin. Some people probably didn't know that this existed. Tell us more about the farm, what goes on, what is grown there, and how many acres. This is not just a little backyard plot in an urban setting. You've got a substantial farm that you're growing as much produce on it as possible.
Correct. So the entire property is 208 acres. It's actually owned by Milwaukee County, and Hunger Task Force leases the property from Milwaukee County. Of the 200 acres, about 100 of that is tillable farmland. The other 100 is in natural areas, which we're also managing. Of the 100 tillable acres, we have about 60 that we do in annual fruits and vegetables. And then the remaining 35 to 40 acres we have in cover crop to try to continuously build the soil for future vegetable crops. As far as what we grow a wide variety of things, including broccoli, cabbage, cauliflower, beans, sweet corn, tomatoes, peppers, lettuce, collard greens, mustard greens, watermelon, cantaloupe. So we're trying to grow a diversity of things so that our harvest is a diverse mix of things. And then we also have 12 acres of apple and pear orchards of various ages that we're probably going to be start harvesting in the next couple of weeks. So that's kind of just a brief lay of the land. The farm has 9 full-time staff, and our main labor force is made up of about 5,000 community volunteers from the greater Milwaukee area. Another big part of what the farm does is we have a nutrition education program. Hunger Task Force has a dietitian on staff that works with Milwaukee public school students in the classroom during the school year, helping kids learn about healthy eating and develop healthy eating skills and healthy habits for life. And then during the spring, summer, and fall, those same students come out to the farm and have field trips at the farm where they take care of a garden. They get to know some of the natural areas of the farm, and then they also do cooking demonstrations they prepare snacks and meals in our cooking demonstration kitchen.
So with the farm here, one, who is eligible to receive this food from the Hunger Task Force? And two, the food that is harvested from the farm, where does that go and get distributed compared to what some of us may be aware of, donate canned goods to the local to Hunger Task Force, and they'll distribute it among those who are in need? How do you balance the non-perishables with the perishable items that you're harvesting from the farm?
That's a great question. So we do have our own fleet of trucks. Since we were first and foremost a food bank, we have this really robust infrastructure to be able to do our own direct distribution. So all farm fresh produce leaves the farm within 24 to 48 hours of harvest. So it's going to be as fresh as you can find, a lot of times much more fresh than what you would find at a grocery store. So during the growing season, our distribution of fresh produce rolls right into that normal distribution of non-perishable items. So the truck will come to the farm early in the morning, and then it'll go back to the warehouse, and all the produce will be distributed amongst all the trucks that are going out for delivery that day. So we do our best to try to get it out as quickly as possible. So Hunger Task Force supports a network of, last year, actually in 2017, there was over 341 service points. That includes food pantries, summer meals programs, soup kitchens and shelters, and then sites that serve low-income seniors. So we have right now around 50 food pantries that are in our network, and they receive regular deliveries of non-perishable as well as fresh produce. And then the senior sites also receive regular deliveries of fresh produce from the farm. Those sites become a part of our network. A lot of them have been with us for a long time. Sometimes the number fluctuates a little bit because we do ask sites to make sure that they're upholding some of our standards and serving people with dignity, making sure that we have that they're open for a certain number of hours a week. So we're always striving to have the best access for folks that we can.
Great. Now, how many pounds of food would you say is given away each year?
The farm grows right around 500,000 pounds of fresh produce each year, and all of that is delivered completely free of charge. As a whole, I just looked at last month's stats, were just under 6 million pounds of food distributed by Hunger Task Force as of July of this year.
That's amazing. With all the networks, the food banks in your network, what if there is a food bank that wants to get into your network? Do they just contact the main office and say, hey, here's who I am, here's my credentials, can we talk about what we can do to work something out? Or how does a new a group get into that distribution cycle?
Yeah, exactly what you mentioned would be a great first step, is getting a hold of Hunger Task Force so that we can see what the site's currently offering and how we can help. Because we do provide our sites with other things beyond just food. We provide them with IT equipment. If they need things like coolers or freezers, we can help them obtain some of those things. We provide training if they have staff or volunteers that need some training. And we can also help them access grant funding to help run their programs. So by all means, I would encourage anybody in that position to reach out, and we'll see what we can do to help.
So if people don't want to possibly donate food, they can donate their time, right? The farm, at the facility, sorting and processing what has come in donations.
Correct. So Hunger Task Force as a whole has about 55 staff, but we are greatly assisted by almost 12,000 community volunteers during the calendar year. So at the farm, we have volunteer opportunities that start in May and go through October, and we're there 6 days a week. And we have 2 shifts a day that volunteers can help out with. And volunteers do just about everything from seeding and planting to weeding and crop maintenance. And then this time of year, a lot of our focus is on harvest. And like you mentioned, we also have indoor volunteer opportunities across the agency to help us sort through all the food that comes in through donations and also prepare food for distribution. So helping us package it and get it ready to go on a truck. So there's lots of ways people can get involved. And we also have a number of signature programs that happen throughout the year. For example, this weekend is Irish Fest down at the festival grounds. And so we have volunteers that are helping us collect donated food as people are entering the fest grounds. There's you get a couple bucks off here, or you can get in free if you donate canned goods at the entrance. So that's just one of many ways that volunteers can get involved and people can share their time rather than their money.
So the question I have is all the food that you're donating to the food banks locally based, or if Hunger Task Force sees that there is a shortage of a certain type of vegetable and or canned good, do you source that from outside the area, or do you put out an alert to say, hey, can we get donations of this particular item in order to fill our quota, I guess would be a word for these food banks for people who need it?
Sure. So we do have, we keep a close eye on our inventory of non-perishable items, and we do our best to project what our fresh produce supply is. Of course, weather can throw off some of those projections, but we do targeted asks. So a good example is in the early part of the year, we always have a food drive that's all over the city where we're asking for peanut butter. Because it's a good source of protein, it's shelf stable, you can eat it even if all you have is a spoon. So we do targeted drives like that, and we can forecast if we're going to run short of something, and we can ask for that item specifically. A big initiative that we've started in the last couple of years is the Hunger Task Force My Plate, which is trying to change the way that we think about donating food so that we're receiving healthy food donations. As part of our role of that program, the educational piece has been to focus on one food item a month that we ask people that want to host a food drive to focus on, so that we can continue the education of healthy, making sure you're making the healthiest donation possible when you're donating to a drive or directly to the food bank.
Right, because you're not looking for bags of potato chips or other junk food, let's say, because your goal is to provide the healthiest food possible to people who need it.
Right, and we want to provide things that people can build a meal with, and something more than a snack or something to temporarily fill an empty stomach.
Fantastic. Now, obviously, people can donate money instead of food or their time as well.
Correct. And the best way to go about doing either one of those things is to visit our website, hungertaskforce.org, and there's links to how to sign up and register to be a volunteer, to learn more about the volunteer activities that exist, and then there are direct links on how to give money as well.
And then, since it is an organization, those donations of money would be a tax deductible thing, correct?
Correct.
Okay.
Correct. And it will stay locally because Hunger Task Force is a locally operated organization. We're an independent organization, so we're really true to our roots of serving Milwaukee to our best ability.
Yeah, Milwaukee is unique to have the Hunger Task Force. Is there other cities that have like a similar type of program, or is this like a 1 in a million type of organization that we're fortunate enough to have here in Milwaukee?
The farm is... Well, there are a few things that make Hunger Task Force very unique. One is that we're free. Most food banks are charging for some portion of their services. That's how they cover their operating expenses. But we do all of our distribution, and all the food is given for free. That makes us pretty unique. There are not many food banks that do that. And then the size and scale of our farm and our produce production is also extremely unique. There are not many food banks out there that run a farm. There are quite a few that have community gardens or have maybe a network of community gardeners that support them and provide donations of fresh produce, but I don't know of any that are running a 200-acre farm like the Hunger Task Force is. So Milwaukee is very unique that we have this organization in our own community.
That's fantastic. Now, can people, do they have to go to a particular food bank, or can they just come directly to the Hunger Task Force location to pick up food?
The best thing somebody can do is to call 211. It's a hotline that can help them. The person who answers the phone will find the service site that's closest to them. So that way they don't have to travel way across town in a time of need. So that's the best thing somebody can do is dial 211 to get the closest location to where they are.
Well, Amy, we greatly appreciate it. For people to find out more information about the donation of food, time, finances, or to find a location, what is the website again in which we can all venture over to?
It's hungertaskforce.org.
Well, Amy, thank you so much for enlightening us and our listeners. Some may have never even known it existed, the largeness of what Hunger Task Force is in the city of Milwaukee.
You're welcome. I hope to see some of those faces at the farm soon.
Absolutely. And when we come back, your garden questions and our garden answers right after this.
If you have a gardening question, now is the time to call in on the ivorganics.com 3-in-1 Plant Guard hotline at 414-444-5250.
Haas Tools wants to help you grow your own food. From seed starting supplies, hand tools, drip irrigation, harvesting equipment, and a complete line of all-natural pest control solutions, they've got you covered. Keep your garden weed-free with their time-tested, American-made wheel hose that are built to last a lifetime. And the Precision Garden Seeders have proven design for planting a wide variety of seeds. Haas Tools has what you need to get the most out of your growing space, large or small. Free shipping and outstanding customer service. Shop online or request a free catalog at HaasTools.com. Pomona's Universal Pectin is high-quality pectin that gels reliably with low amounts of any sweetener. If you're trying to reduce the amount of sugar in your diet, you'll love Pomona's Universal Pectin. Now you can make healthy homemade jams and jellies sweetened to your taste. You can use sugar, honey, or any alternative sweetener you'd like. Pomona's Universal Pectin keeps indefinitely when stored in an airtight container. Easy to use, versatile, and comes with directions and recipes in every box. Find out more and where to buy at PomonaPectin.com. Available at most natural food stores and online.
The number one key to healthy, productive plants are the roots. Starting from seed to full-grown plants, rootmaker.com has the answer. From seed starting trays with an innovative design that air prunes the roots, creating a fabulous root system, never again will you have root-bound plants, to multiple gallon grow bag sizes to raised beds. Rootmaker.com has your grow needs covered. Visit rootmaker.com. Purple Cow Organics quickly and naturally increases the uptake of nutrients and water to your plants with their new bioactive vegetable supercharger designed to meet the unique needs by helping the living organisms in the soil help plants uptake the nutrients more quickly through their roots and leaves. Find out more at purplecoworganics.com. Flame Engineering, home of the weed dragon, the perfect propane torch kit for home and garden use. For killing weeds, no need to pull or spray. 100 other uses. Find out more at flameengineering.com.
Blue Mel's Garden and Landscape Center offers an awesome selection of high-quality garden and landscape products. We have just the plants you're looking for: annuals, perennials, veggies, herbs, and more. Plus, you can always count on us to answer all of your questions and offer expert advice. Blue Mel's also carries the largest selection of bulk landscape materials in the area. Enjoy a beverage from our coffee shop while your kids run around in our huge playground. Join our growing list of highly satisfied customers. Visit the garden center that offers everything you're looking for. Visit Blue Mel's today.
Blue Mel's, 4930 West Loomis Road, 414-282-4220. The Wisconsin Vegetable Gardener Radio Show is brought to you by the following: Haas Tools, Tree Dyke, Rootmaker, Seeding Square, Rebel Green, Dripping Springs Oil, Zaz Products, Shield and Seal, Pomona Universal Pectin. Find all sponsors at the WisconsinVegetableGardener.com and thank them for their support.
Now back to the Wisconsin Vegetable Garden Radio Show with your hosts, Joey and Hallie Baird.
If you got a question, you can call in to the Ivy Organic 3-in-1 Plant Guard hotline at 414-444-5250. Ivy Organic Plant Guard naturally protects plants against damaging sunburn, insects, and rodents, protects newly installed plants and trees, shield pruned and damaged surfaces for use on your roses, fruit and nut trees, ornamental trees, and shrub. This product is non-toxic, environmentally safe, and organic. For more information, visit ivorganics.com. And we had a question come in.
We had several questions, and you can send questions in via phone here during the show. You can also email it at twvgshow@gmail.com. We had a number of questions come in this week. One is, when do you know that your garlic is cured? Let's talk about the curing process of garlic.
Sure.
Here.
So when we harvest garlic, we don't. You can use it right away, but for storage,
which is called green garlic.
Green
right?
garlic,
okay.
yeah, but for storage purposes and just for storage purposes,
and keep it from molding.
Keep it from molding. You cure it. And you cure it simply by you can hang it up, keep it upright, and it takes about 3 to 4 weeks, sometimes up to 6 weeks. You'll know it's ready because it'll get like real papery on the outside.
It'll look like the store-bought garlic. Then you trim the top portions off. We want to hang it vertically or set it vertically.
Set it vertically, hang it vertically in an area that has good air circulation. Again, you're trying to prevent mold, so just think about that.
And you just don't want to lay down because gravity will pull some of those juices and flavors into the bulb as the garlic cures. Then you can trim the roots back and trim the stalk off, and you can store it in a...
But I would say I wouldn't try to rush this process. Give it at least a month.
No, right.
And then take a look.
Well, how do we store garlic since we're talking about this?
So
we have proper...
You would cut off the top and the roots, and then you would just store it in a cool, dry place.
Preferably out of the opportunity sunlight,
mm-hmm.
In a back of a cabinet or in a box. You don't want to put this in a plastic sack.
No, like a basket.
Because then you'll have a bag of soggy, moldy garlic paper bags.
Yeah, like a paper bag basket, something like that, something that has some air.
Right, and you want to use it in about 9 months.
At most.
Yeah, our hardneck garlic, 8-9 months is about the lifespan. We've got some to last a little longer, but
if you're going to plant more,
mm-hmm.
before you start to eat it, you want to take the largest bulbs so that you can use those to plant more.
Right. Another question we had was, when do I know when it's time to harvest my watermelon? That is one of the most frustrating things for many gardeners. They see the watermelon and they just go ahead and harvest it, and it's supposed to be a red watermelon, and inside it's white or pink because it's not ready yet. So what is the telltale signs that is a good indication that your watermelon is ready to be picked?
So your watermelon should have this curly off growth on the stalk,
3 to 4 inches away from the where it is connected to the actual melon.
Right, and it's called a tendril.
Mm-hmm.
And so once that turns brown, that means your watermelon is ready to harvest.
You may not have that anymore because it will dry up and fall off. If it's still green and curly, your watermelon's not ready. If it's drying up and falling off, or you can look it up online and find out what this image or what this tendril looks like, and then you can go that route. But that is a good indication that it's ready to harvest. To do that. Another question is, I have noticed very few bees in my garden. What's going on? Well, join the club. We've all noticed this, a lack of
definitely.
bees.
I don't know if there's an answer for that.
You grow a lot of flowers.
Yeah, grow a lot of flowers.
Vibrant colors, because they are attracted by vibrant colors. And then, provide a habitat. Find out what a bee's habitat is. And find out what you need to do in order to create that in your garden next year. And it's not, bees are an important aspect of pollination, but wasp, sweat bees, all kinds of insects help pollinate your crops in which are needed to pollinate. So, bees are the number one, but there's dozens of other smaller insects that will help pollinate these crops. So you want to look at insects that pollinate crops. Find out where you're at, what you might have, and what you need to do in order to get those in your garden for a better garden next year. All right, we've noticed in our garden, and we've been notified, and I've noticed in other people's gardens, that our tomatoes this year, at least here in the Milwaukee area, seem to be ripening slower than maybe what we're used to. Now, Luke from M.I. Gardener, seed sponsor of the Wisconsin Vegetable Gardener radio show website and video productions, he did a video this week. And he pointed out, and it makes sense to me, the number one reason why your tomato plants are not ripening as quickly as you might think they should. And that's simply because the tomato are not getting enough sunlight. And this can be because there's a lot of foliage on the plant. So what you want to do is you want to go into the plant and you want to remove the foliage. Be careful not to cut growth tips that are producing more flowers, which will soon be more tomatoes, but expose some of the areas in which the tomatoes are clustered together. You don't want to remove no more than 25-30% top of the foliage. Again, we've talked about this on the program. We want to keep the bottom 6 to 8 inches, just soil up the stalk clean so that the soil doesn't splash up on the plant and have other disease problems such as early blight and other bacterial problems. So we want to do that. But that exposes the tomato to more sun and actually allows it to ripen quicker. We also want to keep the soil moist, allow the plant to have enough uptake, so we moisture in the soil, so we do know how to have blossom end rot. That's the blossom bottom of the tomato getting black and rotten. So that's one way to increase the speed in which your tomatoes ripen. Shari writes in and asks, when is the right time to harvest potatoes? Well, when the potatoes have flowered, you can harvest them at the time right after the flowers have developed and bloomed and start to die back. We choose to wait until the plant is dead or has died back 50%. You think it's a disease problem, but it's really not. It's the plant's life cycle. It produces the tubers, it has green growth, it flowers, and then the flowers die off and the plant decreases and dies, and then you harvest them. We want to harvest them. We don't want to leave them in the ground for a long, long time after the plant has completely died, because the potato can rot, and obviously critters and rodents can get in there and start eating those potatoes in which we are trying to get for ourselves. Most potatoes, based on your early, your mid, or your late, between 70 and 135 days. That's the range of potatoes when to harvest. You can harvest them smaller. Those are called baby potatoes, but other than that, you're good to go. Another good question there. When is a good time to plant radishes? Well, radishes take 30 days to reach maturity. I would wait until first or second week in September, and that will give you a harvest through about the middle portions of October, right when the temperatures begin to get cold. Well, that will wrap up the show. Completion of our 60th program that we've been here on WNOV 860 AM and FM 106.5 in the city of Milwaukee. We greatly appreciate you joining us on the program. Some of you have been with us for all 60 shows, and today, if might be your first day, thank you for joining us as well. You can capture all of those. You can replay all of them, revisit all of them on our website at the WisconsinVegetableGardener.com under the radio tab. You can get full-length in-studio videos of each and every show, as well as podcasts in its entirety. You can find the highlights of all those programs under the highlight tab on the main page. Specific interview, individual topic, you can certainly do that as well. A programming note, you can join us next week for our 61st show. We're going to be talking about growing garlic, planting it in the fall, harvesting in the spring, planting some fall garlic, as well as dealing with powdery mildew. Our guest, Dr. Lee Reich, who has mastered the art of weedless gardening without chemicals. He is also a former plant and soil researcher for the United States Department of Agriculture. So that'd be a good conversation to have with him. As always, your garden questions. Well, until next time, for Holly Baird, I'm Joy Baird, and we will see you in the garden.
You've been listening to the Wisconsin Vegetable Gardener Radio Show. Tell a friend and join Joy and Holly again next week so we can all grow together. The Wisconsin Vegetable Gardener Radio Show is a production of the WisconsinVegetableGardener.com in association with WI Garden Media Broadcasting, live from the WNOV 860 AM and the W293CX 106.5 FM, Courier Communication Studios in Milwaukee, Wisconsin.